Right, so this is my Centipede final sprint. So the first thing on the list is the blaster. So the blaster has a sprite, has sounds, it has basic movement. So for the movement, it just has functions called move up, down, left, right, etc. because it depends on the strategy pattern. So input manager is a strategy pattern that it gets based off of. So there's AI control, which is just random controlled movement, and then calling those same functions on the ship that's passed in. And then same for the keyboard controller, it's just if the key is pressed, then you do this respective movement on the ship. So that's how I set up this strategy pattern. And then if I go to the blaster, the two strategy patterns are created only once, so there's only one keyboard controller and one AI controller. And they're activated and deactivated based on what I need at that time, so whether it's tractor mode or the actual scene. The same with the sound strategy pattern, it's basically the exact same thing. I set it up the same way, so that the sound is based off of a sound strategy. And then that goes into the sound manager, but I'll get back to that in a bit. So the blaster again just has basic movement, so there's no sound in the attractor mode right now, of course. It'll move around based on random movements, it'll stay within the player area. And then if I hit play, it's clamped to the movement, or it's clamped to the player area based on the clamp I had set in the game. I can only fire one bullet at a time. And then to showcase my factory for that bullet, a new bullet was created, and that same one was recycled over and over, and then there was only one bullet ever created at a time. Because upon termination, it deletes all the recycled items. So I'll just show that really quick with my bullet factory. It's set up as a singleton, so there's only ever one instance. It can't be copied, can't be assigned, anything like that. There's always got to be one instance. If it's null, then it'll create the instance. Here's my create bullet function, recycle bullet. So if we go into the actual factory CPP, upon termination, this is where the recycled items are deleted. They get pushed onto a stack when they're being recycled, and they get initialized with the position and their blaster owner. And the blaster owner is because I have a strategy pattern set up to allow the player to fire. So if we go down to fire, we'll see bullet factory, create bullet, position, and this. So this is passed in because we're using the observer pattern to let the blaster know when it should be able to fire again. So instead of checking every frame, can I fire, can I fire? Upon destroy, this just resets the bullet count of its current owner that gets passed in through initialize, which was a lot better than just checking every frame to make sure everything's all good. And then that just resets the bullet count. I have it as an integer rather than a boolean for testing purposes, in case I ever wanted to have more than one bullet at a time. But that's set up that way. The mushroom, so the mushrooms have basic sprites, they have basic just health. They're destroyed upon collision with the bullet over 4 hits. And then when they're poisoned, they have different sprites, so they change to the color sprites, so sprite 4 to 7. That's how the sprite sheet is based. And then upon regeneration, we reset the health and the sprite, but that's when the wipe happens, which I'll get back to that in a bit. But everything's initialized, the sprite's initialized, so if I run this and destroy some mushrooms, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 hits to destroy, and then I don't collide with it, so it gets deleted, and then the centipede will not collide because it gets nulled out in the mushroom field. So if I go to the mushroom field, when the mushroom field is created, it sets a bunch of positions in an array, so it creates those mushrooms at those positions. Otherwise, if nothing is created, then just set it to null pointer. That's important for the centipede movement that I'll get to in a bit. So I call remove position when the mushroom health is at 0, so it'll delete the object, but it'll null it out. And then I have some check when a mushroom is deleted within the player area to see if I should create a flea or not, which I'll get to in a bit once I get to my critters. And then for the poison state, just to show that they do get poisoned and that they behave the same way, I'll go ahead and run the poison function on every single mushroom. So they're all poisoned now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exact same thing. There's a flea spawning. So those are good. And then I'll get to the poison movement once I get to the actual centipede. So that's good for the mushroom. I do have a mushroom factory. It works the exact same way as a bullet factory, so I don't want to spend time doing that, but basically just recycles items when it needs to, set up as a singleton. So the centipede, which is the biggest piece, I'll cut this video here and then resume with the centipede.